to go through something like this behind bars. He has lived in Florida for more than half his life and worked for the same construction job for many decades. Every day that goes without him here is a day lost forever. This is about being human, about love, connection, and presence. The one thing he needs the most is the one thing that we're being kept from giving him, which is us. I feel that it would be immoral and inhumane to let a man who is suffering, who is terminally ill, spend what little time he has left in pain and isolation. Please don't let him die in a cell. Please don't let his final memories be of those of pain and isolation. The American flag stands for compassion, kindness, liberty, and justice for all. We're all human, and today I'm asking for one human act of compassion to please let my dad come home.
My vote, again, is to deny the request for conditional medical.
This is hilarious. MAGA voter Cynthia, a Latino content creator, cries and yells for sympathy and empathy all together because she supported Trump and now ICE is deporting her father.
When I voted for Trump, I supported the very system that allows this kind of cruelty to happen. I've spent the last few days reflecting, and I feel like I came through some sort of revelation. I questioned my beliefs, my choices, and my role in all of it. My vote wasn't just a mistake. It was the ultimate betrayal of the very people that I come from. I feel like living in South Florida, surrounded by Republican voices, I was brainwashed into thinking I was one of them. I fell for the propaganda, the normalization of cruelty, and I believed the lies that gave me a false sense of security and belonging. I was convinced that voting for Trump was for the economy or against crime, when in reality I was supporting a man and a movement that dehumanizes people. He basically built his platform on targeting immigrants, spreading hate, and pushing policies that ultimately broke families apart. I regret my vote so deeply, and if I could go back and change it, I would. I'm reading, listening, learning, and unlearning everything that I thought I knew. And to anyone who is feeling the same regret as I am, I want you guys to know that there's still a way for us to move forward, but it starts with honesty first. To every single person who has been affected by the choice that I made, I am so sorry. A lot of you aren't going to forgive me, and I'm really not expecting anyone to, but I just want everyone to know that I'm going to move forward with more compassion, continue educating myself, and fight for those who can't fight for themselves.
I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this video of this Latina woman who is talking about how she voted for Trump, gave him her unwavering support, and despite that, her father, who was undocumented and is terminally ill with cancer, was detained by ICE. Still is detained by ICE, and after they petitioned the immigration judge to release him on humanitarian grounds because he is in fact terminally ill, they rejected the request for release. She received a lot of hate. People told her, hey, this was an open book test. You voted for this. All things of which are very true. I do feel for her father because that is very terrible for anybody to go through. But all the hate she's receiving is absolutely warranted. She then went on to make a video talking about how she reflected on why she did what she did and how she knows that what she did was wrong by voting for Donald Trump. And she said something that I just will never agree with in my life. Let's make one thing clear. She would not care whatsoever about what is currently going on with the Trump administration, the persecution of the Latino community, of undocumented migrants, ICE raids, all that, if it did not affect her personally. She would not care at all, make any content whatsoever, have any statements to make if it did not affect her father. And, oh, I've been surrounded by Republican voices growing up in South Florida. Me too, my entire life. And I grew up in Miami, Florida. Not on the outskirts, not in the suburbs, no, in the city of Miami, Florida. And since I was in elementary school, in kindergarten here in Miami, Florida, I've been exposed to the racism, the hate, and the ignorance that these Miami Republican MAGA Latinos have spewed historically in this area. When people will try to bully me for being a different kind of Latino, right? When I had to hear all the things that other Latinos would say about black people, about other minority groups, about women, about gay people, about all different causes and things in this country that they still do to this day. Again, surrounded by that, just like you're saying. Do you think I became brainwashed or thought I was one of them or thought I was accepted? No, I never ever did. That is a terrible excuse. And again, if it would not affect your father, you wouldn't care. If it wouldn't affect you, you wouldn't care. You would still keep believing in Trump. You would still keep supporting his policies because, again, people like you are selfish, unfortunately. Very, extremely selfish. And this is the norm in Miami, guys, unfortunately. You know how people were saying on social media, yeah, we're not like LA, we're not like Chicago, we're not like New York, we're not gonna... Yeah, we're definitely not like that because we lack solidarity in this community. 100%.
Cynthia's little sister has now spoken up about what's going on with their dad. Y'all, Cynthia is the creator on here who came out and was like, oh my gosh, my dad got being detained by ICE and he has stage 4 cancer. He has 6 months to live. Help me. She comes out. She says that she voted for Trump. Okay. She voted for Trump and now she's facing the repercussions of her vote. Her dad is terminally ill, being held in an ICE detention center, and they can't get him out. So people started coming for her because they were like, well, we're not going to help you now because you voted for this. The little sister, her name is Natalie. She's not even legal to vote yet. She's young. She said that she does not support Trump and she does not support her sister's decisions. However, she is saying that the money that's set up for the GoFundMe is going to the dad being able to get treatment once he is deported. This is a very sad situation, but I hope that we all learn something from this. And honestly, like, I just feel for the girls because at the end of the day, this isn't something I would wish on anyone. As always, my comment section's open for your thoughts and opinions.
To that girl that voted for Trump and her dad is going to die in 6 months, he's detained. Someone said she has a GoFundMe. And somebody said, why isn't she asking MAGA for money? Why isn't she asking MAGA for money? She voted for Trump. Of course you're going to feel bad for the family. Of course you are. It's not their fault. What Trump is doing is wrong. You can be mad at her and you can also feel bad for her dad and for her family. Should we donate? She's getting what she voted for. They're deporting her father. That's what why would you, if he's undocumented, why? So many questions.
This Latina content creator right here voted for Donald Trump and her terminally ill father ended up getting deported. And now this story is going viral on the internet because people are using this as a way to attack people who voted against their own self-interest. Right? And I got to talk to my Latino people here, the people that, voted for Donald Trump but have undocumented immigrants in their own families. It's like, listen, man, I get it. You have your own personal political beliefs and you have every right to have them, right? But sometimes in life it's good to be self-aware. Sometimes this life is very good to think of, okay, this may not affect me personally, right? But can it possibly negatively affect people around me? And if the answer is yes, man, sometimes it's best to just be like, you know what, I'm going to stay out of this one. Because if this ends up being you, man, you're going to lose your whole family behind it, man. They already didn't like you for the fact that you was already voting over there, and now you went and casted your vote, gave them a helping hand, and then we lose pops, or we lose moms, or we lose our uncle, or you lose a sibling. And if you do want to vote, you don't have to speak about it. Vote privately. Don't tell nobody, right? But a lot of y'all men came out here screaming at the top of y'all lungs, man. Like, nah, we got to get Trump in there. Knowing y'all undocumented fucking parents, bro, or relatives or friends. That's just my take. I believe in self-awareness, man. I believe that being self-aware is very important. And, yeah, shit's crazy.
You don't get to talk about what's illegal when you voted for a ballot. You voted for a ballot. Voted for a ballot.
Let me be clear. When you come after one of us, you come after all of us.
Yes. My name is Maria Celeste. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior in high school. I'm currently undocumented. I'm illegal. I've been here illegal and undocumented for 6 years and 4 months. I joined OCAD through my mom. I started being active.
Chicago must remain an example to the nation of what it means to truly protect and uplift immigrant communities.
I'm scared that ICE is going to show up to my house and knock on my door. Pack up your bags. You're going back to Honduras.
What's it like to live with that fear every day?
I don't wish it to anybody, honestly.
If you could say something to Donald Trump, what would you say to him?
If I could say something to Donald Trump, I will definitely say, I don't get why you hate on immigrants if they're the ones doing all the hard work for your country. I don't get why you're throwing all this hate on us when all we want to do is have a better life in here, in this country, and we can't get it in ours. And it's not our fault. And yeah.
Stand with us. Stand for what is right. Thank you.
This is the young lady whose father is terminally ill, but he's been detained by ICE and is going to be deported. His request for compassionate release has been denied. However, she voted for Trump, and she posted this apology video explaining why she voted the way that she did and how she now has learned that she was wrong for feeling that way. Originally, when people learned that she voted for Trump after she posted the GoFundMe for her dad, her defense was, well, I wasn't paying attention to what he said about immigration. I was only paying attention to what happened with RFK, and I believed in his Make America Healthier policies. However, in this video, she says that she reflected deeply and asked herself, why did you really vote for Trump? And she came to the realization that it was because of her own internalized racism and internalized anti-Blackness. Specifically, she said, it wasn't just one decision that I made, but it was an accumulation of decisions that have happened over time. She went back to explaining that when she had her first child, she didn't even want to teach that child Spanish, that living in South Florida, that she had come to believe that she was one of them, that she was not actually an immigrant, that she had assimilated into being white, or the child of immigrants, rather. And she also said that being around so many Republicans, that she had come into this normalization of cruelty, which I found very interesting. So you know that it was being cruel to other families to vote the way that it was, but there was a normalization around that kind of cruelty because it was people who weren't you. So my friend Michelle talks about this idea that we were all outside when the reign of white supremacy came down, that everyone is affected by white supremacy, and that's why we end up having internalized racism, and that's why even people who look like me, we have to do our own work to make sure that we're not being anti-Black. That's the same reckoning that we need with other POC communities right now. It's the same thing that I was talking about when I said, if you're Black, you are going to be working for the liberation of people who are anti-Black, who are also sexist, who are so homophobic, who are so many other things that are detrimental to many of our identities. But this is exactly the reckoning that we need. And so while I understand that people are continuing to bash her in the comments for the decision that she made, I think that her coming back to the post after doing that work in herself, and there's more work to go. Like, it's not done. She's not finished. I looked at some of her other posts. She's still like posting for Coke. Girl, you're Mexican. But there's still other work that has to be done. But I do think this is the first and very vital step for her to not lash out at people who are criticizing her, but to instead go internal and say, what did I do and why did I do that?
TikTok supports white supremacy, and that woman voted for Trump, and now her dad, that has 6 months left to live from cancer, is being deported. And I can guarantee you that when all is said and done, she is not going to be mad at herself. She's not going to blame herself. She is not going to blame the Trump supporters or Trump. She is going to be more mad at the people that said, hey, I told you so. We told you that this was going to happen. She's going to express her anger at everyone that tried to prevent this from happening. And that is the power of cultism. Doesn't matter. The thing that is dangerous to you does not matter. It's the people that you have demonized that matter the most. Y'all have a good one.
They took my wife.
This man who wished not to be identified says his wife is from Venezuela and has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home. I'm told the 2 others were men who worked in construction. You see them here. This video, only 1 minute and 52 seconds long, we do not see his wife being removed from the home. But this is a picture of her that he keeps in his wallet. Her name is Vianis Ramirez, and he says she was in the process of becoming a United States citizen.
She already had a court date. She was good. Everything's good. He just came in and snatched her.
These are pictures from the Department of Homeland Security detaining other undocumented men and women in Broward County.
It's despicable what they're doing right now. It's very embarrassing.
President Donald Trump arrived at his Trump National Golf Resort in Doral Saturday, set to host GOP leaders for a conference. This man hopes this message makes it to him.
If I get a chance to talk to you, man, yo, please, man, let's work something out. So you, man, let me keep my wife here in the United States, man. She deserves to be here, man.
ICE reports nearly one.
Francisco and Cynthia Olvera, you are the next Trumper contestants on Fuck Around and Find Out. Francisco, who voted for Trump as an American citizen, says he wants his vote back after his wife, Cynthia, has been detained by ICE and is being deported back to Canada. And what's crazy about this is not only are they Trump supporters, as she is here illegally, but she came into the country as a small girl through Canada. And then she actually got deported in 1999 back to Canada. She took a plane ride to Mexico and then came in through the southern border at San Diego. So she has entered the country twice illegally, and they thought Donald Trump, the candidate of mass deportations, was the candidate for them, even though Biden, through his administration and his policies, was granting her green card status. She went to an appointment to get her green card, and she went into the room with the interviewer, and all of a sudden the interviewer walked out. ICE came in and detained her. Now she's in tears because she says she spent her life here, her career here. She has 3 children here. And Francisco is stating he's going to fly to Canada and yada, 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 all this stuff. But he wants his vote back. How dense do you have to be to vote for Donald Trump, the person who has mass deportation signs at his rally, and you are married to a twice entering undocumented migrant who came here illegally through 2 separate borders? And both of you, now, once again, she didn't vote because she's not legal, but he did vote for Donald Trump and she supports Donald Trump. Both of these people are in Donald Trump's camp, and now he says he wants his vote back. Well, fuck around and find out, my friend. This is exactly what happens. I'm not sure. He says, we didn't think it was going to happen to us. We thought we were exempt. Why? How? What? How would you think you were going to be exempt from this policy? Because she came from Toronto, because she's Canadian? You thought he was only going against the people from Mexico and Colombia, Nicaragua and Haiti and those countries like that? You thought because she was Canadian, she was going to be granted different status? She came through 2 different borders illegally 2 separate times. She was deported and then broke the law again. And you thought voting for Donald Trump was in your best interest, the candidate of deportations. They are taking no mercy on this woman as she went. Now, I don't like the fact that you go in to get your application and get your green card and do all this stuff the right way, and then you get deported, but she's done it twice. And these people voted for this man voted for Donald Trump, and she supported him. And that is a fuck around and find out to the utmost degree. So, Francisco and Cynthia Olvera, you're up.
A Trump voter is now in the find out phase as his wife is sitting in an ICE detention center ready to be deported. Now meet Bradley Bartell and his wife Camilla. There they are, the happy couple just married. Now he voted for Donald Trump even though his wife was here illegally. She originally came on a visa, but she overstayed that visa. And he supported Donald Trump despite his policies to deport people. Now, he thought it would be somebody else, but on return from their honeymoon in Puerto Rico, ICE picked her up because she was on a database for overstaying her visa. And of course, these people are just beside themselves. They didn't think this would happen to them. They thought it would be the others. They thought Camilla would get to stay because she was originally vetted for a visa. She was working, she had a W-2, and she paid taxes. They thought she would be the last one in the clubhouse who could pull up the ladder and prevent everybody else from coming in. But now they're in the find out phase. And he is upset. He calls the condition she's in terrible. They can't believe they would do this to somebody. Well, he was ready for it to happen to somebody else. And welcome to the find out phase.
So I have been very much overdue on providing an update for my mom. It's just been a lot going on and it's been a lot to digest. For those of you that don't know, my mom was detained by ICE 19 June 2025 and has been in adelanto, or was in adelanto. She's been deported since. But my mom was hospitalized twice at the hands of ICE, once because of physical assault, and the second time because of medical neglect. She is in remission for thyroid cancer and was being neglected and denied her medication. And she was also mentally, emotionally abused while she was under medical observance at Adelanto ICE Processing Center. She was basically in solitary when she was being medically observed. The lights were never turned off, and the AC was blasting in those cells. So one can only imagine how much psychological damage that does to one. But my mom is now in Mexico. She is physically and emotionally and mentally recovering. She hardly has any strength in her legs, so she can't really walk, but she is a fighter. She always has been, she always will be, and we will continue fighting for her and praying to God that we get our mom back soon. But thank you to everyone for following along and for your constant prayers and for your constant just heartwarming comments, and it's very appreciated. And for those of you that come under my videos, I very much delete these comments of people saying, well, she could have avoided all of this by coming here legally. You guys are all a lost cause. You guys are mentally deranged and absolutely sick, excusing physical and psychological abuse of a human being, an innocent human being, just because of what a paper deems them as documented or undocumented. Let's not forget that there is a lot of documented individuals being abused by the system as well. There's DACA recipients being abused. There's green card holders and visa holders being abused by the system. So a piece of paper means nothing to ICE. If you have an accent, the color of your skin, we're targets. So maybe some self-reflection will do y'all some good.
So this Latina, who is a Trump supporter, got deported from Mexico back to the US, and I want to use this video to show y'all, no matter how hard you try, you will never be white. And I say that because she made videos going, oh, look, people are making too big of a deal about Trump and the deportations. He's only going after criminals. If you want to be here, you should do it the right way. Then she goes to Mexico, gets stopped by authorities. While she's coming back from a concert, they check her papers and then they deport her. Now, they deported her because she overstayed her visa. I know some people are like, well, you should have done it the right way. Calm down. Let's just give her a little grace here. She's not a criminal. Sure, she has ideologies you don't agree with, but she wasn't committing any crimes. She was down in Mexico partying it up. Now, this is where the you'll never be white part comes in. There's over 1 million undocumented white people living in Mexico. They are taking advantage of the system. They're not paying taxes. They're down there just partying it up. And like advocates in Mexico have been saying, that authorities don't go after white people. They actually go after brown people. So you were racially profiled in a country that you were trying to get dual citizenship for. So if you were racially profiled in Mexico, what do you think is going to happen to you in the US when Trump comes into office? Because there are at least 500,000 white people undocumented in the US, and they're never bothered. Because I need you to remember that the immigration system was never set up to hurt white people. It was set up to hurt people of color globally. Our movements are constantly restricted, while white people are never bothered when they do the same thing we do. So as much as you say, oh, well, if you want to come to this country, you have to do it the right way. It is not about doing it the right way. It is always, the immigration system has always been about hurting black and brown people, no matter where we are in the world. So please keep thinking how you're safe now that you're in the US, back in your home country. They don't see you as a US citizen either. They want to take away your citizenship. They want to denaturalize people. So please, let's get rid of that colonized mind, because this immigration system was never made for us.
You know, I'm starting to think we need some type of IQ or competency test in this country in order to be able to vote. I normally wouldn't have thought that. However, the amount of people in this country who did not comprehend the phrase mass deportation now is absolutely astonishing to me. The amount of people who listened to Donald Trump on the campaign trail, at his rallies, people within his circle say things like, "You're not safe if you're here undocumented. Your grandparents aren't safe. Your uncle and aunts aren't safe. If you're here undocumented, you should be worried because we're going to deport you." The amount of people who heard that and said, "You know what? It's not going to affect me. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump anyway." The amount of people who knew they had friends and family members here who were undocumented and still went and voted for Donald Trump is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And listen, when I tell you that while I watched this woman's video and watched her cry, I sat there and enjoyed my chocolate-covered almonds that I love so much, because I have nothing for these people. I have no empathy for them. I did what I was supposed to in November in the voting booth, and now that they're crying about it, I don't give a damn.
I don't know who this message needs to reach. First of all, I'm going to ask for prayers on the situation. And second of all, I'm going to ask that if anybody knows any resources or anything, this is a desperate matter. And I don't want to come on here, but I've made every phone call. I've been praying. I don't know what to do. My daughter's father has been in America for almost 10 years. He has done everything the right way, trying to come here from Venezuela with his mom. He graduated high school here, he goes to college, he's always worked, he pays taxes, he's never committed a crime. And yet, they are being denied citizenship here in America, and they are at risk of being deported. My daughter is 3 years old, and I don't think anybody is understanding how dangerous it is in Venezuela right now. He was held at gunpoint as a child coming home from school, and that is why he needs to stay. His mom was forced to do horrible things there, and yet they're trying to send him back. And I look like a fool and I don't care. It's so wrong that they are being put in the position that they're being put in, and I don't know who to contact. I don't know what to do. They have done every single thing the right way, and they don't deserve this. How am I supposed to explain to my 3-year-old that her dad might have to leave and she may never see him again? He has loved her. He has loved my son, who is not even his, and taken him in. He has provided for her. I can't explain to you guys how urgent this is. And I don't know who needs to hear this. I know I need prayers for him, and for me, and for my daughter, and for his mom. But more importantly, there's gotta be someone who can help, because this is not fair at all. This is so unfair. And he doesn't deserve it. He is a 24-year-old who's been trying for 10 years to have a good life here. I just ask you guys to please pray, and to please just give me any resources that anyone has. Please, I'm begging you. This is not right.
No one deserves this. We already know that. That's why we went to the voting booth and voted so that your daughter's dad and his mom weren't sent back to a place like Venezuela. Unfortunately, you have to tell your daughter that you voted against her best interests. And here's the thing. As a human being, as a red-blooded, caring, empathetic human being, I feel sorry that your daughter is going through what she's going through. But as a person who went to the voting booth and made the right decision, I don't give a damn about your tears right now. I really don't. Because you folks had the opportunity to stand on business and keep your family members here, keep them safe, make sure that they weren't deported, and you said, you know what? But I don't know if it's worth it because I really want those other people to be deported. I don't want bad things to happen to my family, but that family there, I want bad things to happen to them. You know how many people have been here, graduated from here, paid taxes here, and did everything right, and you voted to get them sent back anyway? You know how many people are going through exactly what your baby's father is going through, and you did not give a damn about.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. So many people are getting attacked. Children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
My husband, Kilmer, was abducted and disappeared by the Trump administration. It's been 28 days since I lost on my husband. This so-called administration error has destroyed my family's happiness, my children's innocence. Kilmer, if you can hear me, I'm still fighting for you.
The Trump-Musk administration has already deported a U.S. citizen, a 2-year-old. An innocent 2-year-old U.S. citizen has been deported. I know that slippery slope arguments are often just inherently flawed, but this is not one of those times. Donald Trump has been crystal clear for 10 years about who he'd like to deport. It was just days ago that from the White House, in front of cameras, Donald Trump was talking about how he wanted to deport, quote, homegrown criminals, U.S. citizens who he wanted to strip of due process and the rights of citizenship guaranteed in our Constitution and the 14th Amendment of it. And now here we are with a U.S. citizen, a 2-year-old, very clearly not a criminal, who has been stripped of the rights of citizenship. A federal judge, a conservative federal judge, has determined that the due process rights of this 2-year-old U.S. citizen were violated in that there was no meaningful process. The father of this U.S. citizen filed an emergency petition to the court because the mother was going through an expedited deportation. Now, the mother, not a U.S. citizen, was stripped of due process rights. And I know that MAGA is certainly not going to be sympathetic to that, even if they should be, because the Constitution is for everyone who is in the United States. Due process rights are for everyone in the United States. But we have crossed a line that the so-called pro-life party should be up in arms about. When a 2-year-old U.S. citizen, very clearly not a criminal, someone born in the United States, is deported without the right to due process, we have entered new territory that even MAGA swore we would never cross. And for additional context on how ridiculous is, the conservative federal judge who wrote about this wrote that he feared that the plane was already above the Gulf of America. Those are the words that he used. When you have a federal judge who is willing to adopt the language of the fascists in renaming things that cannot be renamed like that, a judge who is willingly and freely using the language of a fascist to describe how the Trump administration is going too far, that's pretty fucking significant. So look, my point is not to make you feel hopeless. It is simply to let you know what is going on and to empower you to make change. This is a red line that many members of Congress and of the Senate said would never be crossed, even the MAGA contingent. If this conservative federal judge is willing to stand up for the rights of this U.S. citizen, this conservative federal judge from Louisiana, ought to be giving the political capital and space and coverage that members of the House and Senate who are even MAGA aligned, that they would need to stand up to Donald Trump and ensure that this U.S. citizen is brought home and given the right to due process. Because if the Trump administration can strip due process rights from a 2-year-old U.S. citizen, so could any administration following it. And that is the argument that you need to make to your member of the House and Senate. Even if you live in MAGA land, just explain to them, do you want the next Democratic president to have the power to, without due process, to deport American citizens? Babies, actual babies, deporting babies. Their answer is going to be absolutely the fuck not. So this should be really easy for them to stand up and do the right thing. But they need to hear from you. An easy way to find your member of Congress and your senators and how to contact them is to go to 5calls.org. On 5calls.org, you enter your zip code and they give you who to contact, how to contact them. And there are even scripts for things that you might care about, issues that you might care about. So if you want to stand up for the rights of 2-year-old American citizens before they get deported, before more of them get deported, go to 5calls.org now.
Y'all, a MAGA supporter's husband was deported, and now she's on the internet asking us for donations to help her. Okay, her Cuban husband was deported to Mexico. Yes, you heard that right. Her Cuban husband was deported to Mexico. So basically, because of the relationship that the United States has with Cuba, or the lack thereof, they cannot deport people to Cuba. So they've instead been dropping them off in Mexico, and I guess they got to find out how to get home. I really don't know the process. I don't care to look into it because I don't care. And yeah, so now she's asking for donations because she's trying to get her husband to Cancun or something. I don't know where they dropped him off at. She doesn't know where he's at. He don't have no money. I really don't know. I don't feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for her because you voted for a man who said he was going to do mass deportation. He said that during his campaign. And I also don't feel bad because I just know that Cuban husband, although he was undocumented, he probably could not vote. He was in support of Donald Trump. He was advocating for Donald Trump. He was canvassing for him. They both were supporters of Donald Trump. A lot of Cubans, I live in Miami, love them some Daddy Trump. And they got what they asked for. Is Cubans are so funny because they just think that they are above the program. They think they are the exceptional Hispanics. They think because, their skin's a little lighter that people can't tell that they're Hispanic. So yeah, it's just so funny to me that, you got what you voted for and now you need people on TikTok to bail you out of what you voted for. There's multiple videos, which tells me you ain't got the donations that you've been asking for.
Said you're a Mexican American.
Yes.
What do you think about Trump's border policy?
I love it. I love it. I'm 100% for it.
Do you know anybody that crossed the border without applying for green card?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, I have family members that did. Cousins, nephews, nieces.
Because those people might be deported if Donald Trump wins.
That's okay. That's okay.
How long have they been here for?
Years, like 20, some like 30 years.
And so you think that members of your own family who've been here for 30 years should be deported?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, they can be deported, but they can also apply to come back again to the United States, but do it the right way.
How do you think they would feel about you saying that?
Oh, they would be very angry. They are angry at me right now. They don't talk to me because I support Trump.
No. Hey y'all, so I'm jumping on really quickly. First of all, it's too cold in this building. So yes, excuse me. I know I look tacky, but this is my jacket because I'm about to head out for a second to do votes. But I wanted to make sure that I told y'all what just happened. So I've been in oversight forever today, but now we are in our markup and it is in judiciary. And let me tell y'all what they just voted for. I want y'all to take a guess. Okay. Y'all probably not gonna guess it because it don't make sense. But if you think of the most ridiculous thing that they could do, okay, I know that that's really hard too because everything that they do is quite ridiculous. But literally, they just voted. They being the other ones, not us, because we were all on the right side of history. They just voted to give Trump the ability, legally, to give him the ability to deport U.S. citizens. That is what they voted for. A bunch of elected U.S. representatives. That is how they voted. Am I telling a lie, Eric, or no?
No, I got my salad here. Mouthful. No, I'm stunned.
I'm not. But I'm glad that you... Oh, okay. Eric been here longer than me, but like...
So what we said was, we even said, you know what? Many of us will not offer any more amendments tonight. We won't vote for the overall bill. But if you agree to this, we'll drop any other amendments. We'll take the win that this would be in the bill, that you would agree U.S. citizens can't be deported. They voted to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. And they did it during the week that we learned that a 4-year-old little girl fighting cancer, a U.S. citizen, has been deported, separated from her U.S. citizen father and her cancer treatment. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking.
Well, he's shocked. Y'all, listen now. I came in with nothing but fools. So he been here longer, so maybe he still has a little bit of shock in his life, but I don't personally. Because the fact is, we used to live in a world in which where we saw the news about that baby that got deported, the baby with cancer, because supposedly he the man that's all about the children with cancer, right? Like, that's why he made sure one of his guests was at the State of the Union was a child with cancer. So surely, even though they're cutting cancer funding, but like, it is a U.S. citizen. Like, there honestly isn't even this real thing of like deporting a U.S. citizen. As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like, that is absolutely insane. So yes, all I gotta say is y'all need to get these fools out of here.
One of my biggest issues and concerns I have with the whole thing, how Donald Trump is running the administration with immigration or even other assistance that he has going on, is for the 4 years that he is going to be in office, all he really is doing is slapping a Band-Aid on all the issues. Because correctly resolving the issues that are going on would not be resolved the way that he is managing it. What I mean by that is, the reason why I say a Band-Aid is because right now everybody is trying to figure everything out, right? They're deporting everybody, etc. For many years that has happened. They have deported people. People have gone back to their country. They've came back, figured out other ways around the system. The same thing is going to happen. All it's going to do is it's going to make others figure out other ways to walk around the system. Okay, so he's just slapping a Band-Aid on things that are going on right now. A more effective way to handle the immigration stuff is by putting an easier process in place for people to be able to get their working visa, their DACA, their immigration papers, not the cost not being so high, not having to get a lawyer to to fight for your immigration status. Say, hey, I'll give you a working visa to come to the United States. We'll review it every 90 days, every 6 months, etc. If you end up violating, getting any criminal charges, then you're gonna get deported, and you will have to self-deport, and you will not be able to come back. And then that's when the legal matters can come in. So there's many more ways that they can handle the immigration process that does not have to do with splitting families apart, because like I said, right now, all they're doing is slapping a Band-Aid on it. Another thing is that he's come about and said he wants all the states to handle, their Section 8, their assistance, which I understand some of the problems, but also the kids don't have fault in that. What this means is we're going to have a higher crime rate. Parents are going to be forced to commit crimes to feed their children, to pay their rent. So many more things are going to be on the rise because of this, because homelessness, because he's taking the Section 8, is going to be on the rise. And, like I said, there's better ways to handle this. Okay, let's put a program in place. Let's help the people who are on Section 8 by saying, here, I'm going to give you the resources for jobs, because right now there's not resources for them, because all they do, say you get a second job or you make over the income, they take those benefits away. So they keep you, the system is actually keeping you stuck. There is nothing in a program placed in place where they say, okay, you can get 2 jobs. Sorry, my toddler had to go pee. So let's put a program in place to help the families become self-sufficient, right? Without taking their food stamps if they have a higher bracket. Let's give them 90 days to 6 months to be self-sufficient, and then let's take them off. But they don't do that. See, they strip you. As soon as you make over, they strip you off of those benefits. So all they're doing right now is slapping band-aids on the issues and not really resolving the issue. It's just like when you have a company and you want to make employees successful. You're not going to make them successful by nagging them and, micromanaging them. You have to literally be a leader and an example and mentor them through wherever they lack in leadership or wherever they are lacking. That is your job to make them a successful employee, and the way he's doing things right now, it's just slapping band-aids on real life issues. That's going to create even more problems for the next person who's going to come in office because they're going to have to fix everything.
It's so crazy seeing the people that actually voted for Trump watch the news and get mad. But y'all should have read the fine print, bestie.
Breaking news, because this just happened a couple hours ago. The Supreme Court ruled, and it is going to allow Trump and his administration to strip the humanitarian parole of 500,000 people from 4 countries. A protection that was in place to keep them from being deported is being stripped, and it is going to result in at least 500,000 people being deported who come from 4 countries. Do you want to guess what one of those countries is? The very first one listed? Cuba. Donald Trump and his administration are revoking the protection of thousands of Cubans. Without that protection, those Cubans do not have legal asylum in the United States. And the Trump administration is going to deport thousands of Cubans and send them back to Cuba. They told you that Barack Obama was Fidel. They told you that Hillary Clinton was Fidel. They told you that Bernie Sanders was Fidel. They told you that Joe Biden was Fidel. They told you that Kamala Harris was Fidel.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.